Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Mordian Glory video. In today's episode, we shall be casting our ever critical eye over another 10th edition Imperial Guard datasheet. And once more, we shall be entering the world of the Forge. It's a roundabout way of saying we're looking at a Forge World datasheet, okay? Moving swiftly on, whenever I normally look at one of these Forge World datasheets, they're a little bit off, a bit kooky. Okay, I'm being very nice about it. Often they're quite crap and a bit rubbish, but today's unit, I think, is genuinely, hand to God, competitive. I think it's viable in a lot of lists, and if you're struggling with your anti-tank needs, if you're finding Imperial Knights and other armored assets are just walking all over you, this might just be the answer to all of your prayers. This might be the solution to your problems. Mordian Glory, I hear you cry. Stop blueballing me. Tell me what this mystery unit is. Will it help me get a girlfriend? Well, I don't know about the latter part, but I can tell you that the Rapier Laser Destroyer Battery is definitely something you want to have your eye on. In fact, let's not mess around any further. Let's get right into today's video. As is tradition, let's begin with a brief overview of what the hell a Rapier Laser Destroyer Battery actually is. And I'm just going to call it the Rapier going forward. Well, imagine if a heavy weapon squad, a field ordnance battery, and a chimera got together and had a baby. No, I don't know how that would work, okay? I'm not a Magos of the Adeptus Biologus. I'm not privy to the details of the mating rituals of these particular units. All right, fine, I'll try again. A better example. Imagine a heavy weapon squad, but instead of a tripod that the big gun is on, instead it's on these little tracks, and it's a bit tougher. Okay, that's basically it. Yeah, it's a slightly tougher heavy weapon squad. That's a better example. And this is represented by its stat line. It's got a movement value of 6, which is normal for some sort of infantry-based team. And then it's got a toughness of 4, and it's got a 4+ save, and it's got 3 wounds. So that's one better toughness, save, and wounds than a regular heavy weapon team. But then it's leadership 7, as you would expect from a guard unit. Everything's bloody leadership 7 in this army. And then it's objective control of 1, which is again very run-of-the-mill. But if its stat line is essentially a slightly up-armored heavy weapon team, its guns really set it apart. That's where things start getting interesting. Each model comes equipped with a laser destroyer and a close combat weapon, and each unit can consist of between 1 and 3 Rapier laser destroyers. Now that on its own is significant, because normally with a heavy weapon team, you have to take 3 of them, you don't get a choice. But with this, if you just want to pop in the 1 Rapier, that's absolutely fine. You can get away with that. There is also a designer's note that you need to make sure you place 2 artillery crew tokens next to each Rapier Laser Destroyer model when the unit is first set up, but you remove each one of these when the Rapier Laser Destroyer model loses a wound. That's really strange. It would be like if you had a heavy weapon team or a fob, and every time you lost a crew member, you had to take a model off. I've never seen that before. I've never seen that on any unit in any of the other data sheets anywhere. It definitely feels like a holdover from a previous edition, maybe something that got copied and pasted. I don't know. But yeah, you have to put the crew next to the model, and as the models die, as it takes wounds, you have to take the crew off. Weird. Cool. Very cool, but really weird. I wonder how those tokens would work for charge distances. Would they block something? Maybe that's in the rules commentary somewhere. If you know about that, let me know. But this is just an example of how weird sometimes you can get with Forge World units, and they have these little quirks about them. So it's a heavy weapon team that you have to take models off as it takes wounds, and you can take between 1 and 3 of them. But then we get to the actual gun it's equipped with, the Laser Destroyer. And this is pretty spicy. I'm not gonna lie, I like this. This is a very good gun. It's heavy, it's twin linked, so it's got inbuilt rerolls to wound, and it's got a 36-inch range, so a little bit shorter than something like a las cannon, but it fires 2 shots. So even though it looks like it's equipped with just like a las cannon equivalent, it's actually putting out double the volume. It does only hit on ballistic skill 5+, but bear in mind with heavy and with take aim, this thing will actually be hitting on 3s if it stays still. It's still strength 12 like a las cannon. It's only AP 2 rather than AP 3, but it still does the all-important D6 +1 damage. And for me, the strength and the damage are the much more important parts, because the AP, that's something we can boost up. Guard, we've got waves, we've got fields of fire, we've also got the withering hail from the exterminator. AP is stuff that we can deal with. Having good strength and having good damage on a slightly more durable profile here with inbuilt rerolls to wound, this makes it solid anti-tank. Quick side note here, I mentioned that the Rapier Laser Destroyer was on a slightly more durable platform. That is an important thing to understand. One of the biggest problems with heavy weapon teams, it's been the case for as long as I can remember, is they're so fragile that essentially you're forced to take mortars, because at least they can shoot out of line of sight. Because the moment that the weapon team goes into line of sight, it just dies to some spare firepower, to incidental shots. The Rapier, with the extra toughness, with the fact it'll be on a 3+ save in cover, and with the extra wounds, takes actual firepower to kill it. Now, it's not invincible by any stretch of the imagination, and if your opponent wants it dead, it's going to die. But it's going to take more than some split fire bolters to really take care of this team, and that's a big point in its favor. Another big point in its favor is I keep referring to this as an anti-tank unit, but thanks to the fact that those weapons are putting out 2 shots each, it does have the essence of volume of fire. And so I don't just see this as an anti-tank unit. I actually see it as quite a potent anti-heavy infantry. In that scenario, it's still going to be wounding them on 2s. It's got the damage to make sure that when you hit them, they're going to stay down. And the AP -2 is much less of a problem, because when you start encountering heavy infantry, things like Terminators, AP2 doesn't matter so much, because you're going to bump into that 4+ invulnerable save, and AP3 doesn't really do all that much for you. Useful when cutting through cover, not going to deny that, but it means the Laser Destroyer is less reliant on needing those other force multipliers to work. And so it very much can do double duty as an anti-tank. It's got all the hallmarks of basically being a slightly less AP las cannon, but it's got the volume that allows it to cross into another camp and start doing duty as anti-very heavy infantry as well. Attention guardsmen, this is an announcement by the Departamento Militarum. Element Games is an official sponsor of the mordianglorytv channel. They offer up to 20% off Warhammer 40k and 10% off bolt action and other game systems. Use the link down in the description to save money and support the channel. Anyone not using the link will be referred to the local commissariat. Also, don't forget that if you use referral code TIM3921, then you will receive double store credit, saving even more money on your future purchases. That's all for now. Fallout! Now, all of this sounds very good, very sensible. And so obviously we can't have that. This being a Forge World unit, we need to have some more weird, wacky stuff going on. And this happens when we move over to the abilities. Because while the stat line is solid, the weapon is solid, the ability is total trash. And it's trash because they might as well have given it no abilities as to waste time and ink and effort. I say ink, it's digital ink, I suppose. But if someone printed this out, they'd be wasting ink, right? Just writing this down. Powerful volley. While this unit is being affected by an order, provided it remains stationary this turn, heavy weapons equipped by models in this unit have the lethal hits ability. That sounds alright. Until you realise that the guard army ability is if you stay still, you get lethal hits. So whether this thing receives an order or not, if it stays still, it's getting lethal hits. So right now, it's a complete waste of time. It's a joke. But, little caveat here, maybe the person that wrote this has got line of sight on some stuff that's coming out for the guard in the future. Because our current ability, our army-wide rule is Born Soldiers, but as we've seen with the Space Marine Codex and the Tyranid Codex, you get different detachments, and those different detachments when your Codex comes out have got different abilities. And so right now, Powerful Volley means nothing, but I suppose in the future, maybe in like 5, 6, 70 years time when we get our 10th edition Codex, this might actually mean something. But right now, it is literally totally a waste of time. But don't worry, my little conscripts. The Rapiers aren't suddenly terrible and unusable because their ability means nothing. They're very, very solid. Based on everything we talked about before, they're a great unit. And they only get better when you take into account their points cost, because they're only 35 points per model. That means that it costs you 35 points for one. If you take a squad of 2, that'll be 70. If you take a squad of 3, that'll be 105. Now, for my money, I would say that 3 is too many. If you start spending over 100 points on these things, you're getting most of the way to a tank or some sort of proper damage dealer, and you might as well do that instead. 70 points puts it in the same ballpark region as a Sentinel, like 10 points more than a Scout Sentinel, same as an Armored Sentinel, and also puts it in the same region as heavy weapon teams. But in both of these cases, it's got a big advantage over the competitors, because in comparison to Sentinels, you're getting 4 las cannon shots rather than 1, and in comparison to a heavy weapon team, not only are you more durable, but you're also getting 4 las cannon shots in comparison to the 3 if you were mad enough to put las cannons on your heavy weapon team. So they're really good for just getting some cheap anti-tank in your army. What I also like about this, if they're only 35 points, it means that when you get to the end of your list and you're like, oh, I've got 35 points left over, what should I take? Rather than chucking in that commissar that you know is not going to do anything, or chucking in that preacher that isn't really going to do anything, you can just chuck one of these in. Every day of the week, if you're getting to the end of your list and you're consistently finding you just padding out the last 35 points, don't. One Rapier Laser Destroyer will always be infinitely more useful than a random character that you've only chucked in because you felt like you had to reach 2,000 points. And only needing 1 or 2 of them in your collection gets past a very real Forge World problem. Because a lot of the time when we talk about Forge World units, there's this elephant in the room, which is, yeah, Mordian, that sounds great, that sounds fun, but why would I risk buying this if it's just going to get removed, or Legends, or next edition, it's going to be terrible? Because Forge World units are expensive. If you're spending a lot of money on a big tank, you better like it aesthetically, because it's probably going to be rubbish as it swings wildly through the different editions. But with a Rapier laser battery, they're not cheap, they're still Forge World, right? But you can find alternative ones, you can find third-party ones, you can probably just scratch build yourself some. And if they end up being not very good next edition, it's fine, because they can still proxy as a regular heavy weapon team. A las cannon with 2 dudes around it is a las cannon with 2 dudes around it. Sometimes it can be tracked and be a Rapier, sometimes it could just be a las cannon team. So I think that they're actually one of those few Forge World units that you can buy and not worry about it becoming obsolete, and it's not too expensive where it feels like if it does go obsolete, you feel like you've been jibbed. But all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Are you a fan of the Rapier Laser Destroyer battery? Have you used one in 10th edition? How did it perform for you? Don't forget to smash the like button and also subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and Patreons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the Call of Duty. So a massive thank you to Bonbonvert, Mad Larkin, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, August Vardy, and the Tommies. Thank you guys, your incredible support makes a huge difference and it is a big part of how I'm able to do Mordian Glory full time. But that's all for now, thank you for watching and of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.